Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. Here's an image of part of the Earth that we can see on the Himawari website. The Himawari is supposedly a satellite that is in geostationary orbit and sending photographs of the Earth to us every 10 minutes or so. I've got Phuket highlighted here as that's where I'm sat while doing this recording. Now, of course, people who would like to defend their belief in the globe and debunk flat Earth will often cite the Himawari images as some kind of proof. But you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist to employ a little bit of critical thinking and analysis to conclude that there is nothing in the way of evidence or proof provided here to say that what we're looking at is actually a real photograph or photographs of a globe Earth. So let's just have a look and see what we can do with this. This is about as far as I'm able to zoom in on Phuket. I can actually get much better images from Google Earth than this. I'm sure we all know that we can zoom in a lot more than that, but this is the limit to the extent that we can zoom in on a location here. So that really doesn't give us much in the way of being able to confirm what's going on the ground. Let's just center that again. So that's one thing. Now another thing is this Earth image that we have supposedly suspended in space, which really should be a glorious background of luminaries and stars and all kinds of things. But of course we do not see anything of the sort. Now people will often excuse this lack of stars because of things like camera exposure, but this is 2019 and we really shouldn't be having to make those kinds of excuses. If someone's going to put a very expensive satellite into geostationary orbit, then we should at least have the addition of some different cameras with different exposures so that we can see the glory of space. I mean, it would be a glorious sight to behold. What a spectacle to give us. But no, we are not given that either. So we have no real detail of the Earth below. We have nothing in the way of giving us any idea of what the Earth is surrounded by, even though it is very well within the realms of possibility. In fact, you can take an off-the-shelf camera and from the Earth, even if you're in a well-lit street, you can film stars in the sky. So there is absolutely no reason whatsoever why a multi-million-dollar satellite put up there at great expense should not be also giving us wonderful images of a starry background. It is ridiculous to not have that, and it is a ridiculous argument to assume that exposure would be some kind of limitation in this respect. As you can see, they can superimpose these lines here, so if there was this satellite up there in space this far away from the Earth, they could quite easily use another camera with a different exposure setting to give us some wonderful pictures of all the stars and everything else that we should see up there, whether there are meteorites or asteroids or what have you, or even the moon perhaps. That would be something that we could also see if this satellite is far enough away from the Earth. So it's more about what you do not see. So another thing we do not see, despite the fact that we can see these light wispy clouds which are visible, they should be visible because they are reflecting sunlight something we do not see. Let me just try and go back a bit here. We'll go to where we have some nighttime scenery. What else is missing from this image? City lights. We see no city lights. We see nothing. Now, I'm sure if any of you have been up in an aircraft or even seen images possibly on Google Earth, we have lots of views of city lights. It should be quite easy to see places like Phuket or Bangkok lit up like a Christmas tree. But of course, we see absolutely nothing in the way of streetlights. We just get complete darkness. So if you put your tinfoil conspiracy hat on, why would this be? Simply because it would be impossible, if you're going to generate these images in some kind of computer graphic way, to truly represent the lights going on and off. Imagine if someone was watching this in a place where suddenly all the lights went out, or they were looking at it at a time when there was a power cut, and we wouldn't see that, even if they were able to put these in. So it would just be too great a task to include the lights in some sort of CGI representation. So better to be left out rather than be caught out. And you can apply this way of thinking to all sorts of other things, such as the photographs of the moon or whatever. So again, it's what we don't see that you have to be critical about, and what they should be showing us. And there is no reason why people should be making excuses for these people spending huge amounts of money to bring us these images. So, okay, let's say that we are in fact getting, let me just refresh this to real time. Let's say that we are getting what we might call real-time images. So how would they do this? Well, these images are reproduced every 10 minutes or so. And all you would need to do really is to use the data collected from weather radar and weather balloons and bring that all together and recreate this imagery of very realistic looking clouds. I mean, this has been done on TV since I don't know, the 1980s, for example. At least 20 years or so, local news stations have been able to put together CGI images representing the cloud formations that weather radar can see, and translate that into something that is very much akin to looking at real clouds. So it is certainly within the realms of possibility to collate all this data from weather radar, weather stations, and weather balloons, bring it all together in the space of 10 minutes. With the processing speed of computers these days, this image can be refreshed easily within 10 minutes. We have computers that are able to process the information from stock markets all over the earth within a matter of milliseconds. So there is no reason to suppose or assume that simply recreating these cloud formations in something fairly close to real time is, it's not beyond the technical capabilities of computer imagery these days. So that's another thing to consider. Now, what if this is a real image or a combination of real photographs? How else could that be done apart from having what is commonly referred to as a satellite in geostationary orbit? Well, something we can consider as a possibility are geostationary balloon satellites. Now, you can easily just look this up on Wikipedia, And here it says that geostationary balloon satellites are proposed atmosphere analogues to satellites that would float in the stratosphere, 60,000 to 70,000 feet or 18 to 21 kilometers above sea level, at a fixed point over the Earth's surface. So at this height, 18 to 21 kilometers, it is possible to suspend a balloon in what would basically be the same as geostationary orbit. It would still be within the atmosphere and it would just hang there. So, of course, this says that it's a proposed technology, but all we have to do is go to NASA's website and look at Project Echo, which was the very first satellite, and it was a balloon. So this is the kind of technology that has been in use since around the 1960s. Let's just have a quick read and see what they say about it. It was NASA launched the Echo 1 communications balloon satellite on August the 12th, 1960. The 100-foot diameter or 30.5 meter satellite, designed by the Space Vehicle Group of the NASA Langley Research Center and constructed by General Mills of Minneapolis, Minnesota, was shown during ground inflation tests in 1959. And there it is in its hangar. So suspended from the ceiling of a hangar, the sphere, named Echo, was inflated by use of a blower connected to the satellite by a hose. 40,000 pounds, 18,144 kilograms of air was required to inflate the sphere on the ground. While in orbit, it only required several pounds of gas to keep it inflated. So here we have the words satellite, meaning the balloon, and orbit. So this is basically, we're talking about a place in the atmosphere or the stratosphere, wherever this was put, that is referred to as orbit. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a satellite as we are conventionally led to believe, and it doesn't mean that orbit necessarily means that this is going around a spherical Earth. Okay, so Echo was a passive communications satellite which reflected radio and radar signals as a limited communications relay. It was also used over a period of time and with accurate tracking to plot the variations in air density at the top of the atmosphere by following the vagaries of its orbit. I'm not sure what that word means, but again, we've got this word orbit being used. Weighing 150 pounds or 68 kilograms, the satellite was inflated in space. It did not have a rigid skin and accordingly was used at high altitudes where it would be subjected to negligible aerodynamic drag force. To keep the sphere inflated in spite of meteorite punctures and skin permeability, a makeup of gas system using evaporating liquid or crystals of a subliming solid were incorporated inside the satellite. All right, so there are some documentaries that you can look up on YouTube, etc., which shows how this was apparently shot up into orbit by a rocket, and it was then inflated. So if this was the first satellite technology in the 1960s and it worked, why would there be any need to change it? All right, it's really, it doesn't take too much investigation, and you don't have to be some crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist to look at these kinds of images and not immediately assume that they are some kind of solid proof that we live on a globe, or that it automatically debunks the flat Earth. It is very limited thinking to not be able to perceive how easy it is to misguide us with such fabricated images that can easily be created with computer imagery and data that's collected from a variety of sources and put together to give us these images, not photographs. So I hope that's the last time that I hear this ridiculous excuse as some kind of way of debunking the flat earth. If people were really exploring space and were out there with these satellites, we should be given some glorious views of the night sky, because it would be a wondrous sight to behold. But for some reason, those who are so enthusiastic about space will instantly make excuses for the people that are bringing this kind of ridiculous imagery to us as some kind of proof that we live on a globe. Anyone who is able to employ some critical thinking should be able to use their own discernment and work it out for themselves that we are simply not being told the truth about what the earth is and where it is, or the real capabilities or lack of capability of actually exploring the realm beyond which we physically exist. Thank you very much. Click subscribe and the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications of new videos from Phuket Word.